It's like some mountain, and I hit a peak, and then I'm now going downhill, and I will be done with this Thursday. At least that's the way I'm viewing it. Maybe that's the right way to view it. I don't know, but I will say that I think a 14-day quarantine is excessive. Now, I'm not a medical expert, but I've tried to look at the situation as much as possible. I got tested before I left. I got tested when I landed. I got tested again yesterday. Negative, negative, negative. And I'm just wondering why I have to stay in a hotel like this much longer. I don't know what the latency period is if you get exposed, how long it takes to get infected. But I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like this is intense. This is excessive. And it's just, I don't know what the extra costs are, too. If I think about, if somebody comes into Canada, they have to stay in a 14-day hotel quarantine. Well, that pretty much precludes a lot of people from actually coming here and doing business and stuff because, I mean, you're going to rob a big hotel bill and everything else. So I'm just wondering whether this is genuinely effective. I don't know. I know Canada's handling this situation better than us, so it's not me to sit here and question how they do things. But you know me, I like to question everybody. I'm a big, gigantic pain in the ass. Professional gadfly. But I am, let's see where everybody is from today. Again, from all over the world. God, okay. Somebody asked these questions. What are your main milestones in your life? Well, will you do me a favor? Those are so gigantic questions. If you could be a little more specific, it helps. Because that will just get me talking, and then I'll never stop talking, and I'll be a pain in the ass. So I've done, how many negative tests? I've done 3 tests, and I'm waiting for the results of the 3rd. But I know that I'm past the latency period, so I don't get it. I mean, I really don't get it. Anyway, here we are. Greetings from Vienna. Greetings from Ocala, Florida. I don't even know where that is, but I like the name of it. Wales, UK, Budapest, Brazil, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Belgium. I just love this. I think it's so amazing to have this little community around the world. It's just incredible. Are my eyes green or hazel? Though? Actually, they're hazel. But somebody says there's blue in it. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could sit around. Sweden, hello. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We love Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Kentucky, sadly. Why sadly? Kentucky's great. It's beautiful. Costa Rica, Montreal. When's the last time I went water skiing? Damn good question. I haven't water skied in ages. Wakeboarded, but not water skiing. Water skiing is pretty old school. Let's just face it. It's a little like windsurfing. You go kiteboarding now. You don't go windsurfing. So just, I don't know. Thought I'd throw it back there and show you how hip and up to date I am. Gainesville, nice. Deutschland, Munich, Rhode Island, Toronto. Well, hello, Toronto people. How's the weather outside my hotel room? Actually, looks like a pretty nice day. Now, from my hotel room, I can see 8 cranes. There's so much building going on in Toronto. It's remarkable. Oh, by the way, you know what I forgot to do? I don't even know if this is working. I forgot to plug in my microphone. Let me go do that. So, I'm getting this. Pardon the momentary absence. I think this works better. You guys can tell me, but I think this microphone works a lot better. So hopefully you guys can tell me if is it working? Somebody tell me if this is working. You guys are my roadies, my tech people. Okay. Somebody want to tell me if this microphone is working? Is the microphone working? Because if it's not, I have to restart the damn thing. Okay. Oh, there's no sound. Yes, we hear you, but do you hear me through this thing? Okay, now it's working. All right, good. That way I don't have to yell. All right. Anyways, listen. Makes me sound like Rodney. Come on. I don't sound like Rodney. Anyway, so what have I been thinking about? Well, I've been thinking about a lot of things, and most of it is the role that time plays, and why are we so? It's amazing. We fill our lives with so much stuff that keeps us busy and crazy that I'm not actually sure we're totally aware of time as it exists. And when you get stuck in a situation like this, which is like slightly more intense form, I guess, of what everybody's really going through, um, that my friend Rob Fisher is calling. Well, thanks, Rob. He's texting me. I thought
You need.
hello, Lay Money. But finally, they figured out this is not really working. So they all agreed to one basic gauge. It's a little like time. There's one basic time thing. So we had to really get on schedule, and it's all about this utilitarian aspect of being a worker and being productive and everything else. And then suddenly, what is really interesting is that the time spent in offices, and I'm talking pre-pandemic, but time spent in offices has decreased, and yet productivity has increased. So, interestingly enough, the guy who runs Netflix said, you know what? I'm not going to have an office. You guys go wherever you want, do whatever you want. You can work whenever you want. I just want to see results. It's going to be interesting to see the results. But I think the people that are naturally motivated and like to work hard and feel like they put in a lot of hours, they'll probably put in more hours than before. Will they be more productive? Darn good question. But then there are going to be people like me who cram everything in all at once so that I can have the rest of the day free. And I think those people will be equally productive, maybe more productive. Who knows? But my point is, suddenly we are in the middle of this pandemic and time has actually stopped. And we're all sitting here in this suspended state of animation. And kids have moved back into their houses with their parents. Boyfriends and girlfriends are looking at each other like, well, I thought this was temporary, but now we're stuck together. Husbands and wives who maybe things weren't going well, maybe things are going worse, maybe things have gotten better, but whatever it is, it's condensed all these pre-existing issues into this kind of pressure cooker, so to speak. And the role of time becomes really interesting to me because I started reading this book. This is what you do when you don't have, this is what you do when you have too much time. It's called The Case Against Reality by this professor, I think Donald Hoffman is his name. And he actually questions the whole existence of time, that time is an illusion. Now, this is really crazy because if time is an illusion, that also means cause and effect is an illusion. Because cause and effect are time related. One comes before the other. Now, that also means space and distance are an illusion because space and distance are spread apart. It takes time from go to one place to the other. Well, this is trippy stuff. And I don't recommend these are the type of thoughts you have when you're stuck in a hotel room by yourself where the windows don't open because it's a little too much. But I think it's interesting. So it's just got me thinking, as I'm sure it has everybody, the quality of time. And I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm going to be emerging from this situation, and I think the pandemic in general, with just a higher level of gratitude toward what I thought was banal interactions with people. Just basic, you go to the grocery store, know the name of the guy who's putting the bags in the groceries and stuff. You know, I live in a really cool neighborhood where like everybody knows each other and you can stop all day and talk to friends and neighbors. And I love that. Now, some people don't like that. For example, heart-stopping moment this morning because Newman got out, and this is what I love about my neighborhood. I get a text from some lady. I don't know who she is. She knows who I am. So I get a text from her saying she's got my dog Newman. But I actually don't get the text for a while. And she says, well, I've dropped her off at our friend Tabby's house. Now that's amazing because Tabby and her kids are like my son's adopted family, and they all do online schooling together. So Newman is over there right now just causing chaos, but all the kids are loving having him over there. But like having that sense of neighborhood is really an awesome thing. And that requires you putting a little bit of time into things and, you know, paying attention and giving time to people who can't necessarily, you know, I think we're all so damn ambitious that a lot of us only spend time with people that maybe can do things for us. And I'm not saying that, you know, neighborhood people aren't doing things for you. There's an example of it. However, where am I going with this? Oh my God, I need more coffee. Okay, I'm officially tired of listening to myself. You know, I talked to my friend Rainbow yesterday and we figured out how to do this online thing, and he may call me if he wakes up. Now, Rainbow, who was on my TV show and is a lovely guy, when I got him yesterday, he was drinking a bottle of red wine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon without a shirt on. And I was like, impressive. That is one angle I could go down in this hotel room. And I said, well, when you take the shirt off for the bad red wine, do you put a shirt on for good red wine? I don't know. But he may chime in at one point, because I did learn how to share a screen with people. So I might actually try that today, kids. But anyways, I want to answer some questions. But I did something really interesting today. I actually wrote a few things down that I want to talk about. Because that way there's some form to the otherwise chaotic meanderings of my brain. Anyways, let's see what we have here. How are your boys handling virtual school? Not that good. It's really complicated. The boys are by nature not unlike their father. Oh, Sydney. Hi, Sydney. The boys are by nature distracted, not unlike their father. So this is challenging, very challenging. But I love them to death, so they can do no wrong. Joe, have you ever gone surfing or boarding with Jason? Well, of course I have. I actually think I got him back into surfing. He hadn't surfed for years. And we actually have taken a few surf trips. One time we went, he and I went to Maui, surfed with Laird Hamilton and my buddy Dave Kalama, and that was a lot of fun. And then afterwards, we went to Oahu and stayed with Jason's dad in Makaha. Makaha, bro. Yo, cuz, come to Makaha. Kaha is really interesting. It's not necessarily a white boy like me, a place that I should show up in unless I know somebody. I'm like the Hallie there, but because I came and I was a guest of these people that lived in Makaha, my God, they treated me so well. And they were just incredible. But the way sometimes it's hard to understand when they talk really fast. They go, okay, bro, hey, man, what's up, bro? What up, guys? And they would say things, I wouldn't even understand them sometimes. And I just laugh like I understood it. So I tried to fit in. Anyways, so yeah, we did that. Acting advice, yes. You want acting advice? I'll give you acting advice. Don't act. That's my advice. Did you surf in Italy? No, I've never surfed in Italy, but I like that idea. Come to Russia, please. Just get a room for me. I will come to Russia. Let's see. Were your parents okay with you becoming an actor first? Well, that's an interesting question. I'll hit that one really fast. So, I said this before. My arc was sort of the opposite of evolution. It's more like devolution. I started as a relatively ambitious kid, and I would work each summers doing internships. I think my first job was Dean Witter Reynolds, which was a trading firm. Then I worked in a bank, and then I worked in Washington, D.C. as an intern, and I was trying to build up the resume and one of those really annoying kind of goal-driven kids. And so I didn't like it. I ended up at the age of 21, I think it was 20 or 20, no, 20. I ended up at the age of 20 with this really remarkable job in the White House working for George Bush Sr. as an advance man, and I would organize trips. I didn't do it very long, but it had a big impact on my life, and I had a big impression. And it was fascinating. It was a fascinating job. You're working for the most powerful man in the world. You fly to a city, and you're the official representative, and you're working with a mayor and the police chief, and you're making sure everything's organized. When you're 20 years old, that's a lot. So I can't say I was entirely ready for it, but some of the people I worked with, were such unswerving and unmitigated douchebags that I actually said to myself, I don't want to be here. I don't want this. I don't like being around this, and I think it's beginning to affect me. And so I just, it's like I got knocked, like I was an asteroid and I got knocked by something. Now I'm going off to a different direction. And I had this relatively bizarre idea of becoming a writer and an artist and what have you. Anyways, so I left. I went to Paris for the year and studied. And when I got done with college, you know, I said to my dad, I said, I think I'm going to be an actor. And it wasn't like shock. It was more like, what language do you speak? Like, you're speaking Japanese, I speak English. Like, what did you say? Can you repeat what you said? There's no actors in my family. There's no artists in my family, interestingly enough. And so he just said, I think his words of encouragement, like, you're not going to be a goddamn actor, are you? Yeah, it was not. It didn't go down so well. And what I realized is that Carl Jung said this. Carl Jung said that the biggest influence on a child is the unlived life of the parents. I think that's kind of interesting. So, my dad was in politics, uh, and he was relatively successful in everything he did, and he was very smart. When he saw what I was doing, and I was 20 years old, I was already in the White House. In his mind, he was like, "Man, that guy's on his way," and it was hard for him to accept the idea that I didn't want to do it and go a different direction. Now, when you're 20 years old, you have your agency, but the influence of the unlived life of your parents is pretty strong, consciously or unconsciously. So he gave me a speech that is not unlike, if you ever watch Network, the movie, I think Ned Beatty gives a great speech in this darkened room. And he's like, there's the dollar and the shekel and the ruble. And it's basically the pyramid of power in the world. And the truth is, he's right. It is an absolutely accurate speech. And he basically said, here's your pyramid. He worked at Anheuser-Busch for years. And, you know, he was part of that family, actually, the Anheuser-Busch family. And the way he looked at it was there's this pyramid of power and so forth. And he's like, you're up here, you're in the White House, and you're now circling down and going to the bottom, which is Hollywood. Now, back then, I'm not sure celebrity power was the same as it is today, but it was a speech that was not antagonistic. It was not nasty. It was just, he laid it out. Like, just be aware that you are purposely giving up a tremendous amount of access and power to go explore something that could be really difficult and miserable. And when things aren't going well for me in this business, don't think that damn speech isn't like ping ponging through my head. But I don't know that it could have been any different. And I say to myself, you know, he put it this way. Anheuser-Busch at the time, Hollywood has changed quite a bit, but at the time he gave this speech, he said, well, look at Anheuser-Busch, it makes like $15-16 billion gross a year. And look at Hollywood, they make 8 or 9 billion gross a year. That was the time when he gave his speech. And he goes, our company makes more money than all of Hollywood put together. And no, we're not magazines, we're not doing TV shows, and we're not like being obnoxious and talking and like being like celebrities. But get real. Like, get real where things are and things aren't. And, you know, it really put things in perspective. So when I went to Hollywood, I have to say, I kind of looked down on Hollywood. Like, this is where damaged people go to like fix the holes in their life. And somehow I was not damaged and I was perfect and everything was fine. And I have to say, I actually didn't give a shit if it was going to work out. I just thought, I'm just going to try this for a while, because if not, I'll loop back and do other things. And I got lucky and it started working out. This is a long answer to your question. Anyway, as time went on, I realized that you have to do what you're good at. And we all have different little gifts and different little things, different values, and we all try to contribute to the bigger cause in life by what we do well. And so I don't think I was good sitting down in an office anywhere. Just sitting down and getting, put in place. So as you know, this is a challenge for me to be in this room. Nonetheless, I think that's a long answer to a really good question. So, do you want to go to space? I not only want to go to space, let me just tell you something. I made it abundantly clear that I wanted to be the first actor in space because I thought it was a good tie-in to launch Stargate Atlantis. Each season we'd spend a lot of money and send all this crap to the magazines and the PR people and the TV shows to try to do a piece on us. And it's the same old crap. I worked at a magazine. We get these packages and they're the same old crap. You just throw them aside. What you need is a hook. You need something different, something special, right? So the hook that I offered, I said, look, we can buy a seat on the Virgin Galactic for like $200,000 or $300,000 versus spending $3 million a year or whatever on publicity. And we can use that for years because it's not going to take off for years. And now you got a hook. And they actually looked at me like I was nuts, I was crazy. And, what I realized is that with that idea, I was also putting out of business like an entire department in MGM, which had come up with all these expensive special PR things. Mine wasn't special or expensive. So they just shot it down. They said, that's just because you want to go to space. I go, well, of course I want to go to space. But if you don't want, I'm like, look, why don't you go to space? You're the producer. Go to space. Somebody go to space. But I've worked at these places, and I know that your PR isn't doing anything. So that's what I wanted to do. It never worked out. So the United States Air Force, which has always been a great supporter of mine, they flew me in an F-16 at Nellis Air Force Base, which was extraordinarily fun. And I can tell that story later. But they came to me and they said, we hear you want to go to space, and we have an idea. We can stick you in a U-2 spy plane, and you'll be at 90,000 feet. And technically, that's suborbital. And you can say you're in space. I thought that was a pretty clever idea. And unfortunately, the show was canceled, so I never got to really take advantage of that. But I wanted to. And one day, I will go to space. I will. See that determination? I will go to space. Look, I'm in space. I'm stuck in a hotel room, for Christ's sakes. All right. Why you don't, I don't know what that is. That why you don't is president of USA? You'll have to rephrase that. Why don't I like the president of the USA? Well, that's another discussion altogether. Anyway, let's find out what we else have going here. Okay. So I'm going to answer another question here in a second, but what does it say? I will, oh boy. Have you ever done, you guys ask a lot of good questions, but they're pretty general. So have I ever come and spent a holiday in France with my family? I have indeed. In fact, I moved my family to France for a while. We lived in Antibes. I took my kids out of school for almost a year, and we traveled mostly through the Middle East. And now that's another interesting thing that loops back to what I was talking about regarding time. When I was getting a divorce, which was not easy, it occurred to me that I had spent so much money on a lifestyle. It was extraordinary when the accountants went through everything. It was just gobsmacked. And yeah, we had a nice house and all that sort of stuff. And I thought to myself, when I die, am I going to be like, oh, that was such a great house. So glad we put that extension on and put a new roof on. And no, I don't think you're going to be thinking that at all. I think you're going to be thinking, how come I didn't spend more time with him and her and him and all that? That's what I think you're going to be thinking. So it occurred to me that I said, if I get out of this mess, I am going to spend my money on memories, not lifestyle. I'm going to downsize, spend money on great events, vacations, activities with my friends and family. So I pulled all my kids out of school and I said, I would like to go through the Middle East for a year. with my kids. I needed a couple teachers, so I got those. And I spent some money on this for sure. I had to get it okayed with my ex-wife, and my ex-wife was understandably like, that's not really what I want to do. So I had to kind of make a deal, and I got a house in the south of France that also had a guest house, and she stayed in the guest house. We stayed in the main house, and then we would fly out of Nice into the Middle East and take these cool little trips. And, every like 10, 12 days we'd come back, and it worked out that way. And one of the things I wanted to achieve was I wanted memories, so that I'd be like, yeah, remember the time when that camel died and we were stuck on the mountain, that sort of stuff. But I also wanted to show them that my belief is that these kids are growing up scared. People are terrified. What the hell are they terrified for? I mean, terrified. What the size of the balls on the guys who founded our country, got in wagons, rode across the frontier. They were so ballsy, okay? And what are we scared of? Have we lost our courage? I don't get it. So I'm seeing these kids, they're watching the news, they see terrorism, they're scared. They especially see people that are, for example, after all the terrorism, anybody who's Muslim or looks Muslim, they're scared of. And they don't quite have the nuance to distinguish things. They don't know the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite or Wahhabism or any of that stuff. So what I actually thought is, if I can show my kids that the world is not scary, that's going to be pretty valuable. And if I can show my kids that the crap that is being sold to them and the hype is so different than the reality on the street, they're going to have a lot of skepticism about the crap that gets thrown at them. And I said, look, there's a lot of people who thought I was nuts, a lot of parents who thought I was really irresponsible to do this. And I said, look, you're told that we're going into scary places in the world. I'm going to show you that you're not going to be scared. I'm going to show you that people are gentle for the most part. Yeah, there's bad people everywhere, but there are universal qualities. And so you're going to actually, I think, be transformed by the experience. So we went, and sure enough, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And yeah, they never really felt scared. And it's not like we didn't go to places that had not seen a lot of problems. I mean, we went into the Bardo Museum in Tunisia, which was still a mess from an ISIS attack. They had blood stains still, broken glass. I think 35 people were murdered. So it's not like I kept them in a perfectly, sealed bubble. I wanted to show them that there are real things in life. There are real problems, and there are real tensions, and all that sort of stuff. But I got to create the curriculum, which was amazing. And what I really loved, like the thing that gives me such deep soul satisfaction, is that each country we went to, I'd find some guy that I'd have him with us. And every time we went to a country, those guys would come to me and they said, man, this is amazing. Your kids know more about Islam than most Muslim kids. And I said, good, that's amazing. They knew the pillars, they knew everything. Now, they might have forgotten them by now, but I think it was a good experience. And I think they actually saw it. And I think it paid off, because when we came back, I think my kid was like 16, and he and his pal went to North Vietnam, rode a motorcycle from North Vietnam to South Vietnam. So clearly, maybe he could use a little bit more fear, if you ask me. But that sense of adventure is what distinguishes interesting lives from lives that were kind of surrendered. So, and also I think there's a reason why our country is special. And it is not because anyone can be president, including a reality star. It's because we are ballsy and we have courage. We do things. And sometimes we can be a little bit, not reflective enough and too action-oriented at times. But, I think that's a strength of ours. So I'm meandering a little, But I think that was an interesting question. I don't even remember what the question was. My God, aren't I something? But I did really want to raise kids in a way that was different. And I also thought to myself, God, the amount of competition my kids are going to face is pretty serious. I say to them all the time, I'm like, you're going to get, just from Asia alone, you're going to get people coming over that will probably be more well educated. They'll probably work harder, they'll probably work longer, and they probably will have more grit. And those are recipes for success. How are you going to compete with that? And I don't want to make everything about competition, but my answer is basically what you're going to do is you're going to enjoy life and enjoy people and take an interest in life and an interest in people. And that is creativity. And creativity comes from joy. And if you don't have joy, you don't have creativity. And so I didn't have them have any homework. Screw homework. I wanted them to actually be bored and figure stuff out. Right? So I did that. Anyway, I think it worked. I think it helps. And my belief is that, and maybe I'm being a little cocky, but my belief is that all those really well-educated people are going to make great employees for my kids. Cocky. But they love people. They enjoy people. And they're curious. And I think that will get you really far. I'm not sure education per se is the single greatest criteria for success. Let's see what else we got going. Yeah, screw homework. Damn right, Rick. Homework is the most overrated thing in the world. The highest test scores in the Western world, if I'm not mistaken, are in like Norway or Finland or something. No homework. No homework. How's that happen? Think about that. See, kids are going to love me. See, I guess I need a kid audience. They'd eat this shit up, right? Are you still an actor? Well, that's a damn good question. The reason I'm in a hotel room for a 14-day quarantine in Toronto is in order to start shooting this show for Apple TV called C that my boy Jason Momoa is on. So I guess I'm still an actor. It's how I pay the bills still, although sometimes it's a bit tight. All right, let's see. Should we expect a book on parenting? Oh, God, I would never subject you guys to that, but who knows? Maybe I'm just cocky enough to do that. Let's see what else we have here. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, yeah. Oh, who's your favorite cartoon? That's a good question. I think I liked Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner. It's pretty tame stuff. Again, I didn't grow up with a lot of TV, so it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so I was listening to this guy this morning. His name's Jason Silva, and I think maybe you guys have seen him on Instagram. He's a pretty interesting guy. You know, he starts talking about STEM. He gets really kinetic, and he's like, today I'm going to talk about self-reflection. And what does it mean to be self-reflection? I mean, he's like kind of all over the place. He says some pretty interesting things. But it occurred to me while I'm watching his stuff, and I've watched a lot of his stuff, that there is still this obsession with self. We literally are obsessed with ourselves. We see the world strictly through ourselves. And self-help, there's a fine line between self-help and self-involvement. And I wonder if we were better adjusted 200 or 300 years ago when survival was harder, when threats were greater, when your lifespan was shorter. Like, you didn't have time to say, like, you know, I just feel this like kind of spiritual malaise. And shut up, get on the wagon. We're going another 1,000 miles. So I think the need to pay attention to things outside yourself, things that are larger than yourself, dedicating yourself to other people, probably naturally takes care of a lot of these things that we're so laboriously like involved in, which is the self-help, and it starts to drive me fucking bananas. I'm sorry, but I know I live in ground zero of the self-help movement. That's Malibu, California, and I can't tell you how many incredibly inane comments people make. There's this one woman in particular that is, to me, typifies a lot of this problem. She's like, you're your own star, director, and producer of your own movie. I'm like, oh, cool. Does that make me your extra in your movie? Are we just extras back here? I kind of call bullshit on it. I think that we have more time than ever, especially if you're stuck in a hotel room for 14 days, to reflect and see things. There's definitely a role, definitely a place for that. I recommend everybody do it. But in some ways, our internal problems sometimes can get flushed out by external engagement, by literally doing other things. I'll give you an example. Last night, I decided, somebody asked me to volunteer doing phones for Biden's campaign. Now, I know some of you guys are for or against Biden. I don't really care. That's not my point. My point is, a Zoom call comes up, and all these people show up. It's like a kaleidoscope of different people, different faces and races and sexes, and everybody's trying to help out. And we're getting trained on how to work the phones. And then we go about making these phone calls. And, I reached this one older gentleman in downtown Philadelphia who's an old guy. He's on a walker. He doesn't have a car. He doesn't have internet. And I'm trying to help him find a Dropbox.
Uh,
There we go.
that was yesterday's.
I'm back. And I apologize. I've turned off my computer. I've turned the airplane mode on my phone. I've turned off my computer, and I hope I don't get any more interruptions. And back to my son who's trying to call me right now. I can't help you. You're on your own, pal. Go find your real father. Just in all seriousness, I will call you when I'm done. So now I sent my son a note this morning, and I said, you need to get your absentee ballot worked out. He's out of the country, and we're going to try to figure out how to do that. Anyways, my point is, I'm back to the conversation regarding dedicating yourself to other people, other things that are greater than yourself. It's a different approach to self-help. Sometimes the self-help, it just is too self-involved. So here I am, and I am talking to this older gentleman, and he's saying that he doesn't have an internet. So I'm trying to go onto my internet and help him out. He's on a walker, and he doesn't have a car, so the Dropbox has to be close by. And I know that the campaign people didn't want me to spend that much time per person. But I spent like 20 minutes with this guy because the truth is, I was like, look, I'll figure this out. I'll call more people. I'll make up for it. But there was something that was pulling me here. And it just felt like this guy needs help. This guy's probably on a fixed income. This guy actually needs help. And I wanted to help him out. And it makes me feel good. And it probably makes him feel better too. And it just got me thinking that this process of improving yourself, I think it's a little bit of a trap that we all go through our little self-help place. And sometimes I just think that we ought to try to do it a different way. So that was my little lesson. And so maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. Having children is a great way of doing it because children, like, you're forced to look at things outside yourself. In fact, it can be very dangerous where you're not paying attention to yourself at all. But I always say having kids was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it was the only thing that officially pulled my head out of my ass. Occasionally goes back inside, but it's the only thing that officially pulled my head out of my ass because I was genuinely bored of myself. I think in my 20s, I thought I was pretty interesting. I was like, man, I'm bored of myself. So anyways, here I am back to this place. And I thought to myself, while I'm doing this, one of the biggest disconnects in our entire society is that we don't have mutually shared experiences. It used to be, the last thing we have now is weather. Okay, how's the weather? Your weather's affecting me too. We have a mutually shared experience. Everything has become about politics and everything's become about choosing your team. You're this team or you're that team, and then you fight to kill each other. And, my dad's generation, my dad was significantly older, and he was a World War II vet. He came from a pretty privileged family, fought in the South Pacific in World War II. Didn't see anything like too crazy, but then he served on the Japanese war trials, which was really interesting. But I think he came back from that war, and he was thinking to himself, you know what? I see America. I lived with these boys from Alabama who I never would have met had I not been in the military. I have a greater understanding of all the people that make up our nation. And when I make a decision about politics and economics and everything else, I have to consider the larger picture and what's fair for everybody. We have a social contract. We have to be fair. That comes from a mutually shared experiences, and we don't have mutually shared experiences. Because, well, I'm not suggesting we have a war to do it, although we could end up in one. We don't even share the same information, and that really is where things go bad. So you could have the news and you could have data, and when I grew up, people had to watch the same 3 news sources, the basic 3 networks. And now you just have, that's your data and this is my data, and it's all a bunch of bullshit. So there's no basis for discussion. And I said this before, if somebody believes the sun doesn't rise in the east and sets in the west, there's no basis for a constructive conversation. And these QAnon people, it's like, what the fuck? Seriously, like, I can't, use your critical thinking skills, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously. I'm not even going to be nice about it. Like, fucking think. This is crazy. Don't suspend your logic. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we are so disorganized and disunited, you actually think we can pull off these very stealth, complex plots that are under the radar, where all the dots connect. Bullshit. There's very little conspiracy in this world. There's collusion, but there's not conspiracy. There's a big difference. Anyways, my point is, if we find a way to have a mutually shared experience. Now, unfortunately, my first thought was, tragically, we may have it through the pandemic, but, it hasn't worked out that way. It's really weird to me. If this thing doesn't put us together and make us realize we're all in it together, I don't know what the hell is. So it got me thinking, and I had this idea, and you guys can tell me what you think of it, but what do you guys think about like national service? Okay, you don't have to necessarily join the military, although the military can be part of it. But let's assume, like they do in other countries, Israel, Switzerland, a lot of other places, they make you take 1 to 2 years of national service, and sometimes it is the military. Now, assuming we make it a lot of things, military can be one of them if you wanted to join. But during the New Deal, we had people working the Civilian Conservation Corps. We had all this stuff. We have the largest and oldest generation in the world about to retire, the baby boomers. Now they're growing old. They're going to be falling apart. They're going to be lonely. Why don't we take young kids and have them work at retirement homes or in hospitals or go to their homes? And we can, in return, you give these kids some kind of tuition relief so they can get through college and not graduate with all this debt. But I think the results would be this: we have no intergenerational interactions in our country. Like, unlike a lot of other countries, you have multiple generations. One of the reasons Italy got hit so hard by the pandemic is because you have like 3 generations in a household. And so they would all get each other sick. And so the interesting thing in the United States is that we prize mobility. Like, your economic power is your ability to pack up your life into a carry-on and take off, leave your friends and family, and just go someplace else. We are lonely in America. We're separated from our friends and family. It's a weird affliction we have in our country, and it doesn't have to be that way. So I was thinking, why don't you have a national service? Kids can spend 1 or 2 years between high school and college, and they get a taste of other things. And that the spoiled kid from New York ends up bunking with the kid who doesn't have the same resources from Arkansas. And you know what? After 6 months, they say, you know what? You're not a total asshole. I actually kind of like you. And I've learned something. That is how we save our country. Because if we don't have mutually shared experiences, or we don't naturally respect each other in our lifestyles, we are screwed. And it's the first time in my life where I looked at my country and I said, you know what? We are fucked unless we figure this out. We've got to figure out how we can actually disagree with each other and not dislike each other. And I'm just like really, really sad by what I see. And I think everybody is. And I think that we have to get this figured out. So my thought was national service, maybe in the form of something else. And no exclusions, no nonsense, no like, I have bone spurs, I can't really volunteer at the retirement home. Sorry. Yeah, right? Captain Bone Spurs. You know, the guy who just loves tanks, loves the military, loves all that crap? Whoa! My God. My thing fell down. The wizard has been revealed! Now, it's a little shiny now. Oh, you know what? Here. You know what? I think that was my cue to shut up. There. It's not shiny. I think that was my cue to shut the fuck up. Or maybe that was God's way of saying, you've gone too far, Joe. Shut up. Anyway, so, am I going crazy? You be the judge of that. You see that I'm spinning. My wheels are spinning. Anyways, I will just say that I know there's some people out there. I see that there's people out there that are Trump supporters. It's okay. I don't dislike you at all. And I understand. Listen, I grew up in a red state, a flyover state. I understand the feeling that people have that there's a lot of people, coastal elites, lecturing them on the airwaves, talking down at them. I get that. But disliking people is not a policy for governing. You have to be more than that. Disliking people is not a goal. Disliking people is a starting point to say, I can do better. I need to come up with a better solution. Yes, my dislike of that person's particular opinions have led me to come up with another solution. But you don't stop at the place of dislike. Because, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, those who don't like Trump, the Trump problems don't go away when Trump goes. He's a symptom, not a cause. And although he may be causing a lot of problems, it's because we're receptive to those problems. Because deep inside, we all have like an inner Trump, a little mini Trump inside us. It's like, what are you doing, Joe? So that's our little gremlin. And we're all capable of that. So it's not going to go away. Anyways. Oh, vote Joe for president. Yeah, baby. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to answer some more questions so that I just shut up. That's what I'm going to do. Can't help thinking this would make a great play. You know what? You got me thinking. Could be a great one-man play. Or you know what? I'll call it a half-a-man play. Started as a one-man play, ended as a half-a-man play. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm a little upset my buddy Rainbow. Maybe Rainbow is asleep. Let's find out. I'll try to get him on the horn and see what's going on here. Because I just want, you know what? I will have somebody join me if somebody wants to join me. But let's figure this out here. Let's figure out whether Rainbow. I haven't heard back from Rainbow. That means it's asleep. Okay. Or he's just not around. He's got something to do. He's drunk. Oh my God. I hope not. Can I call? Maybe I can call Rainbow. Let's see. Should we try that? That would be kind of funny. Let's see if we can do this. But I just don't want it to come up on my phone. Nah, this is too complicated. Technology really hurts my brain. The interwebs. That's my George W. Bush. Connie and I are out here playing frisbee with Dick. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Oh, I want to call you. You know what? Tomorrow I'll call Hewlett. I'm going to call Hewlett tomorrow. And Jason. Call all these people. It actually is pretty cool. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to answer somebody's questions, but I'll let somebody join me for a little while to answer the question. How's that? Let's try that. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Let's see if this works. God, I hope it doesn't screw up the video again. I really hope it doesn't. Let's see if this works. It's not working. All right, let's see. Who is this? Findingyourcore and Gem of the Bug and 5 others request to be in your live video. Okay, let's try this. We're gonna try it. Can I say? Okay, let's try this. I've never done this. Oh, I have to choose one person. I apologize. Okay. I didn't know I had to choose one person, so I'm just gonna choose one person. Let's see how this works. Oh, finding your voice or finding your. Whoa! Wow! Can we hear you? Oh yeah, we can. This is so cool.
Awesome.
I did this yesterday with Rainbow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what? I have to be a little less crazy now that there's like a real human being on my streaming. Because when I'm by myself, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And now there's like a human being, and I feel like, I should clean the place up. And okay, good. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, this is great.
I like this.
How's Canada?
Where are you?
I'm in Dallas.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, Dallas,
Nice.
Texas.
You look like you're like on a treadmill, or you were on a treadmill.
I'm about to work out.
You are?
I am.
I
I'm
need
using
to-
gyrotonic.
I got a stationary bike. I'm usually got.
A Peloton?
I thought it was like an art piece. I just kind of leaving it. It's like, I gotta work out. I gotta try this. So
I'm a big Peloton fan.
I looked into renting a Peloton, but it's hard to rent. You have to buy Peloton.
They've got a
At
great
least
resale
up here.
price if you just need them for a little while.
But I think I like this Peloton idea. Like anything that involves people not leaving their homes
Definitely.
is like this. Oh, you have a cat.
I do. There's also a dog. There's two dogs. I know
miss
you're not a dog
animals.
person, but
I miss animals. I'm looking at you like an animal through a cage. I'm like, oh my God, animals, people, life. It's amazing. This is very funny.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm so glad you reached out.
yeah,
I guess I can only do one person at a time, though.
there could be a party, right?
I think it'd be kind of cool.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Wouldn't it be cool if you just invite it would be really cool if you can invite everybody all at once and have them all talk over each other.
I love it. That's what Zoom is.
It'd just be like a giant cocktail party.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this was cool.
Very.
Send me some workout tips when you're stuck in a hotel room by yourself and you're not motivated. What's that?
So I teach Pilates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So my number one tip is to actually use your transverse abdominals. So those.
What are those?
Okay.
What did you call me?
What you asked?